Springs is just so beautiful. I mean, it's hot, but it's like a dry heat. And anyway, we spent most of the weekend just lounging by the pool.
Oh, hanging out by the pool. That reminds me of my belly flop story. Can't just start telling it now, though. I'll just think about it until Siobhan finishes talking.
Completely naked.
That reminds me, last summer I was house sitting for my Uncle Danny Elfman.
Oh, Summer! Oh, they're gonna love my Cancun food poisoning story. God, it's so good. I can't believe we're wasting all our time on Zach's boring story instead. Why are you still talking? There.
Steven Spielberg himself was there.
Cool, I have a story about Cancun and eating tacos there in the summer.
That reminds me of the time I drove a taco truck to California.
So then I woke up in a hospital next to Keith David.
Good, I have a story.
Oh,
You go ahead.
No, you go.
Stop it!
Okay, quit talking. Stop it, it's my turn.
Finish now! Be done! Finish now!
Okay, I'm just gonna go. I had just landed in New York City.
New York! Me story! Me, New York story! Me!
Wait! Me though! Me Taco story! Me!
There were 17 bodies found in the sea.
Great, so I have a story about New York City.
No! Me!
Me. Sorry to interrupt. Did you guys say Emily?
No! But it was a wrap.
Me, Emily.
Filled it up, and that's how I won the key to the city and the key to my wife's heart.
Going back a few stories, I had a Choco Taco party.
Me!
Welcome this morning. It is great to see you. I'm in my Coke station, and so I feel safe because if you were to shoot me, I know this bulletproof glass. I've just been away. We're trying all kinds of things to try to make it as safe as possible for you here at entry point. If this is your first time with us, please fill out a blue card. If you feel safe enough, it should be in the basket on your table, which is also for the purpose of giving a contribution to this faith community. Today is the third time that we have tried this here at Conner Prairie, and I think it's working really well. Especially I like how the weather tends to cooperate, even though it's supposed to be raining. Here we are in this beautiful prairie with beautiful weather, so we're pleased with that. This is our plan. Every other week, we're going to continue here. Every single week, there will be a virtual service for you to watch. Today, we are focusing on the topic of making everything about us, like we like. We're asking that question, it's not about me. I mean, none of us here really make anything about ourselves. I mean, we're talking about those other people, the people that have all of the problems. We need to learn about this so we can fix them, right? So, how many narcissists does it take to screw in a light bulb? One. Because they just hold the light bulb and the world revolves around it. How about I stop talking right now and let's watch the next video.
I actually got my paycheck this week, and it's like outrageously big. I mean, I don't even know what to do with it all. I mean, it's like too much money, you know? It's like a problem, but also really cool.
Oh, wow, that's so interesting.
Oh, I decided that I'm gonna spend a bunch of it on a really expensive gym membership. You know, like one of those like fancy gyms. Have you done yoga?
Actually, yeah, I usually used to do yoga.
Excellent for the body.
I know.
You know, it helps your mentalness, your physicality.
For sure. Yeah, can we just get the check, please? Like, as soon as humanly possible. Thank you so much, please. Thank you.
Shakira actually joined the gym recently. Yeah, Shakira. Yeah, she's great. No, we act really close now, so like she confides in me and I confide in her, and you know, I actually taught her how to deadlift. Yeah, it's part of her routine now. It was part of my routine. Yeah, she's now deadlifting like 250 pounds. It's amazing. It's part of my routine. Get together and clearly stop like what?
It's not that I don't care about what you say, but it'd be nice if it don't take the whole day. 'Cause in the end, it's the truth, baby. It's not all about you.
pray with me. Dear God, it occurs to me that sometimes when I pray to you, I'm a bit like the people in the video who are trying to dominate the conversation. I'm so busy trying to tell you everything I want to see in this world that I neglect to be silent and observant. If I would wait and watch, being open to seeing things differently than I've always thought they should be, what could I learn that would help me to be a better servant of others? I confess that it is scary to me to let go of my beliefs and rules that keep me feeling safe and in control. It's scary to know that other people who are different than I am, might not see things the way I do. Hearing their thoughts might be very uncomfortable. This week, you helped me find a quote by Winston Churchill that makes a lot of sense. Churchill said, "Courage is what it takes to stand up and speak, and courage is what it takes to sit down and listen." So God, I ask for the courage to listen with intention, to be willing to leave my comfort zone, and to be accepting and explore another person's worldview, even if it calls into question beliefs that I have held for a long time. Help me to be humble and calm my ego so that I can really hear what someone has to say without feeling the need to convince them that I am right or my way is better. During this very stressful and divided time in our history, may my listening and speaking come from a place of love and respect. Please give me the wisdom to know when I need to speak up on behalf of myself or others, and when it would serve us better for me to be quiet and listen intently. Help me to trust that there is as much work to be done by listening as there is by stating my own opinions. Let me be there for others who seek not my advice, but the gift of a safe place to express themselves without being judged or challenged for being who they are. Amen.
Hey, heard you were having trouble.
Oh no. You're that guy who won't stop saying, yeah,
Ronathan. Yeah, I was, but I heard people hate that, so I am committed to being a better listener.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I think there's something wrong
With your computer.
No, my phone, actually. I can't seem...
update to the new OS, yeah.
No, access...
The internet.
No, my
Trade.
Mail.
Got it. E-trade.
Mail. Email.
Got
Okay,
it, yeah.
the way you keep finishing my sentences is
Really helpful, I know. Yeah.
annoying.
Uh-huh.
You keep guessing wrong. Just let me finish what I'm...
Eating.
Eating?
Eating.
Really? You thought I was going to say
eating, yeah.
Okay, yes, that time I was going to say eating, but not the time...
Of your life.
No, I was saying not the time before that. None of your guesses make...
Him an offer you can't refuse.
sense. Just shut up for one...
Direction.
Why are you doing
Drugs?
this? Why are you doing this?
Oh, I'm just helping the conversation along and just showing you that I understand.
But you clearly don't understand.
Pants.
Stand. Okay, this would take less time if you just waited half a second and really listened to my problem instead
of piloting a single-engine Cessna to a remote jungle in Peru in quest for some legendary Inca artifact that was supposedly hidden shortly after Spanish conquest, and then finding it and learning that it's far too powerful for any one man to control regardless of his intentions and casting it into the ocean. Yeah, I get that a lot.
Interrupting.
Yeah, or that, sure.
That's what I was gonna say.
Okay, whatever. Your problem is...
Getting
jiggy with it.
my...
Sharona, right.
Email on my...
Phonograph. Phonograph.
Just phone.
Phone. Yeah,
Phone.
oh yeah, I can help you with that. Definitely. I don't know why you didn't just say that to begin with.
I did.
But, yeah, there you go. You forgot to update your password, so the email wasn't forwarding properly.
Oh. That easy, huh?
Just that easy.
Okay, well, thank you. Yes, thank
For
you.
being a friend.
Talk about your work, how your boss is a jerk. Talk about your charge in your head when it hurts. Talk about your drugs that you're having with your brother, your mother, and your daddy. You're crazy as a mother. We talk about your friends and the places
about your grandma down in Alabama. We're talking about the guys of every shape and every size, and the ones you despise and the ones you idolize. We're talking about your heart and my claims and your smarts and the medical jobs and where you start. You know, talking about you makes me grin. But every now and then, I wanna talk about me. I wanna talk about number one. Oh, I wanna think what I like, what to know, what I want, what to see. Well, I like to talk about you usually. But occasionally, I wanna talk about me. 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 About me, wanna talk about I. Talk about number one. Oh my, what I think, what I like, what I want, what I see. Well, I like to talk about you usually. But occasionally, I wanna talk about me. I wanna talk about me. I wanna talk about me. I wanna talk about me.
So Irish poet and playwright Oscar Wilde once wrote these words. Come over here and sit next to me. I'm dying to tell you all about myself. Now, while that is the perspective of a true narcissist, it is also all too common in our everyday lives. As you watch these videos, I'm certain you thought of somebody that you know that fits that profile. Or perhaps you may even have wondered if that's how people see you. Now, the sad truth is we do think an awful lot about ourselves, because in many ways we need to have confidence. But we often dominate conversations. We talk too long about our own stories. We talk about our own interests, our hobbies, our wants, our needs. I don't need to tell you that our culture has become incredibly me-centered. In addition to dominating the conversation, we have a lot of other bad habits that result from our self-centered perspective. Sometimes we insert ourselves into scenarios that just aren't our business because we think the situation is about us. We start giving unasked for advice because we think the situation is about us. We become offended and we get our feelings hurt because we end up taking things personally because we think every situation is about us. Now, my goal today is to help us all realize the damage that we do to ourselves and to others when we maintain that belief that everything is about us. Before we go any further, let's clarify what I mean by narcissistic behavior. Now, according to Greek mythology, there was a hunter named Narcissus who was strikingly good-looking. Through a series of events, and along with some other characters that we don't need to know about for our purposes, Narcissus was lured to the side of a pool of water, where he saw his own reflection and fell in love with it, not realizing it was merely an image. He thought it was a person down below the water. Unable to leave the beauty of his reflection, Narcissus lost his will to live. He stared at his reflection until he died. Narcissus is the origin of the term narcissism, a fixation with oneself and one's physical appearance or public perception. Now, I'm not asserting that we are a bunch of narcissists, but we do have a tendency toward narcissistic behavior at times, especially when we insist on inserting ourselves into all things. Now let's start at the beginning of our struggle with narcissistic behavior and the problem that we have with taking things personally. During infancy, and early childhood, we experience the world as revolving around us. The Swiss psychologist Jean Piaget showed us that a young child looking at a picture believes that the adult on the other side of the table is seeing exactly what the child is seeing, even though the adult is looking at the picture upside down. Now, when the picture is turned around in many experiments so that the child is looking at the picture upside down and the adult is looking at the picture right side up, the child still believes that the adult is looking at the same image. Now, this is an important sentence. Part of our intellectual and psychological growth includes the gradual understanding over time that we do not always see the same thing as someone else. The ability to recognize that someone else has a different perspective is a little bit different from empathy. According to current research, the capacity for empathy, the ability to respond to someone else's feelings, develops very early. In fact, many experiments will say that a child as early as the age of 2 has the ability to respond empathetically to someone else's feelings. They've done a series of experiments where a child is on a playground and some child falls down, and 18 months old, 22 months old, someone falls down and starts crying, and someone else, another child, 22 months old, 24 months old, 18 months old, will start crying because that child is crying. That is empathy. But it takes us much longer to be able to separate our own experiences from someone else's experiences. And sometimes, and this is important also, in moments of vulnerability, in moments of stress, this distinction between the two of us can get lost. And that's when we end up taking things personally, even though they reflect something about the other person, not about us. Let's look at a few real-life examples of why it's not about us. Let's take this example of what I'm doing right here. Public speaking, one of the most feared experiences in our lives. People don't want to do this. They would rather die than have to get up and give a speech. Public speaking nerves means that the focus is on the wrong thing. When we're nervous about talking to a group, the anxiety that we feel makes the speech, our preparation, our delivery, the whole presentation about us. It's not about us. It's about the content. It's about the message. It's about the reason everyone is there to listen. When we are speaking, we are just the vessel for the message. We shouldn't be nervous about that. The second example is when we don't get what we want, which happens all the time. Yet we personalize it. We act like we should have done something different, like it is about us in a different way. When we don't get the date or the job or the prize, whatever it may be, it's because something else is coming. If we did our best, then we did everything we could do. Many things are just not meant to be. Many things are just not meant to be. Something bigger and better is coming for us. It isn't about us. Another example, when we get ignored. Now, I really struggle with this one. If I've sent someone an email or I've sent them a text, I want an instant reaction. And I'm like, oh, she doesn't like me, she doesn't respond to me, I don't have any value in her life, all those things, just, regular things like no one else here thinks those things, just me. What I've had to learn, and sometimes Marcy she'll say, people are busy. They're not always just looking at their email, they're not looking at their text. People get distracted and, I don't know, people are self-absorbed. They're thinking about themselves, I guess. And finally, and this is the toughest one, when people criticize us, we make it about ourselves, understandably, and it's not about us. Often our greatest critics are projecting their own fear, their own insecurities and envy onto us. This is not about us. This is about them. We should stay out of it and let them just talk. It's really not our business what they think. Now there's a Buddhist parable that has been updated and goes like this. Imagine that you're floating in a canoe on a slow-moving river, having a Sunday picnic with a friend after you've been at Conner Prairie. Suddenly there is a loud thump on the side of the canoe and it rolls over and you fall into the water. You come up sputtering and what do you see? Somebody has snuck up on your canoe, flipped it over for a joke, and they're laughing at you. How do you feel about that? Now, imagine the exact same situation again. The picnic in the canoe, the loud thump, the dumped into the river, coming up sputtering, and what do you see this time? A large, submerged log has drifted downstream and bumped into your canoe. This time, how do you feel? The facts are the same in each case. Cold and wet, picnic ruined. But when you feel personally picked on, everything feels worse. The thing is, most of what bumps into us in life, including emotional reactions from others, traffic jams, illness, or mistreatment at work, it's like an impersonal log put in motion by 10,000 causes upstream. We need to try to consider that what may have caused a person to bump into us like a log are a variety of conditions completely beyond our control. Our feelings get hurt, and maybe it's not about us. Maybe we need to recognize that the person who just hurt our feelings is suffering from a complete misinterpretation of our actions, and they chose to respond incorrectly. Maybe the person is physically unhealthy. We're never at our best when we're in pain or when we are sick. Maybe that person is worried or angry about something outside of us. Maybe they're struggling from trauma or, I don't know, larger world events. We need to recognize the humbling, wonderful truth. Most of the time, we are bit players in other people's dramas. When we can do that, when we can see that person as an impersonal log who bumped into us, we can be a lot calmer about the situation. We can put that situation into context when we don't see ourselves as a target. Now, right smack dab in the middle of a Bible passage known as the love chapter, you know, love is patient, love is kind, the greatest of these things is love. There is an often neglected verse that goes like this. When I was a child, I used to speak like a child, think like a child, reason like a child. But when I became an adult, I put childish ways aside. So maybe the key to our problem today is a very simple admission and understanding that it is time to grow up. It's time for us to put aside our childish ways of making everything about us. Now, I have to confess to you that I have struggled greatly with the tendency to dominate conversation, to insert myself into too many situations, to take things personally. And one of the first times I felt like I had actually grown up a little bit, a couple weeks ago, I was in the middle of a conversation, and just like that opening video, where everyone was thinking of the next thing that they wanted to talk about because of something else that someone said, I kept thinking of things that I could talk about, things that they needed to hear. And then I suddenly realized they were doing okay without me. Wow, that was a moment. They were just fine. I didn't have to tell them what I knew. I didn't need to weigh in on every topic. I kind of felt like an adult. When we grow up a little, when we stop expecting the world to revolve around us, when we stop thinking everyone sees exactly what we see, we actually start paying attention to other people. We actually see them, perhaps for the first time. And then when we see them, we can see their needs and their wishes, and then we begin to respect them. We begin to understand them, despite our differences. My prayer today is that we will lift our heads up away from that pool of water that reflects our beautiful image and truly see others. Amen. Gandhi wrote these powerful words: "The way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others." Let's try to be more aware of each other in the coming days, especially now. Let's try to see each other and help each other. I'm so glad you were each here today. This is so joyful to see your actual faces and not just see you in my dreams. Next week's virtual service will be about marking special moments, special milestone moments, despite our pandemic. And the following Sunday, in 2 weeks, we will be right back here again for a live, safe service with a special guest speaker, Betty Ellison, will be speaking. She'll be talking about how beautiful our life is, a combination of the words beautiful and brutal. Have a great Sunday, and go in peace. Amen.